There are a few people who are back again, so thank you so much. So I'll be talking about a build tool which I love, and it's I think one of the best tool which has been out there. Not many people are aware. I think there is some confusion as well about the tool. A lot of people call it as a monorepo tool, which is not true. Which is not true. So let's figure this out in this talk. Why it's just not a monorepo tool. Yeah, but let's see what I'm going to talk about. It's one build tool for all your needs. I don't have a very sexy voice, otherwise I could have said like for all your needs. Okay, I will never try this again. Sorry. Okay, so let me just introduce myself again. So I'm a senior software engineer at Celonis. I mostly work on the platform side. So we use Angular, and then we have a huge monorepo in our company where we use the tool which I'm going to talk about. I'm a GD for Angular and an ex-champion. I'm also a GitHub star, Auth0 ambassador, and I'm a co-founder of a community called This Is Learning. So in case any one of you want to become part of the community, we have like our own blogs. It's a community-based blog. It's not something which we own. So if you're free to cross-post your content, you're free to take your content out if you don't want to stay with the community. We also have some open source projects which we do, and we also have a podcast. So we do a podcast called This Is Tech Talks, and we will start like hosting again next month. Yeah, so in case you want to become a guest, just send me a message on LinkedIn or Twitter, wherever you are. This is my Twitter handle, Santosh Yadav Dev. And yeah, I'm on GitHub as well. So if you want to just see what I'm doing on GitHub, probably you can see my repository as well. So let's see, what is a build tool? I mean, so everyone uses a build tool, right? I mean, even if you are a backend developer, front-end developer, everyone uses a build tool. And probably you hate a build tool or you just love it, right? There are only two choices. There is no in between. So let's see. So if I talk about a build tool, it's a program to automate building your application, and then it can do a lot of stuff. Let's just limit it to building your application. And this image, it's why it's there, I don't know. Okay, so I just try to create something out of the AI, and this is the first thing which came, and okay, let's use it. Doesn't, but it shows some of the tasks which is happening here, right? So let's not talk about this image anymore. So let's see how the build tools work. And I'm going to give an example for JavaScript, right? So this is how it works for JavaScript. So you have an entry point, like the first file which will be loaded by your build tool. Then build tool actually builds your dependency graph. It figures out, okay, what are the different files which are connected, and then it will, if you have any files like text or images which cannot be processed by a JavaScript tool, it needs some loader. So you configure your loader, and then finally your build tool processes everything, puts it into a DST folder, distributable folder, right? That's how it works for JavaScript, but process is almost same for any other build tool out there, right? So this is how our build tools work. Why we need build tools? Of course, let's see. For a better developer experience, this is what I say. If you have to like write your own build tool to process or build something, of course that will be a mess, right? I mean, the companies will stop actually hiring developers. Otherwise, they will just in entire life they will just build a build tool. So what else? To serve bundled and optimized code, this is more in terms of front-end code, right? Where we have to deliver less and less JavaScript to your browser. But it goes the same way for the backend as well, I think. Type checking, I think it's something which most of the build tools are already doing, right? I mean, if you go to TypeScript, it is actually doing type checking for you. If you use .NET, Java, they also have a type checking, right? Then to reduce build time, is it? Because to reduce build time, you need a build tool, and then to reduce build time, you again need build tool. So it's almost like correlated, right? You have a build tool, then you need to improve your build time, but you need to improve build time because you have a build tool. Okay, very confusing. Just forget about it. And to remove that code, right? So when you write code as a developer, there will be times that you just create a file and never use it. So you need a build tool to figure out, okay, if this code is still needed or not, and then remove that that code so it's not part of your bundle. And let's come back to the front end again. You also needed to create lazy loaded chunks, which can be loaded by browser on interaction when user interacts with your website. But let's accept the fact build tools at enterprises are not so fast. How many of you are actually using CI/CD at your enterprise? How many of you have build times more than 30 minutes? No one? Okay, yeah, some hands. Okay, is it like more than 45 minutes? Okay, there are a few hands. Yeah. So we can agree to this, right? I mean, build tools when it comes to enterprises, they're not so fast. I mean, even if you talk about latest build tools like Vite or ES Build, they're good. Like they're good at the development side, right? You do something, you get your output fast, and then you're really happy. Hey, my build tools is the fastest one out there. But when it comes to enterprise, you don't have a to-do app. Everything works fast with to-do app, believe me, right? But once you have 100k lines of code, all build tools fail, right? They takes ages to like complete your build. They take ages to run your tests, unit test, then you have end-to-end test, whatever tool you are using, but it takes ages to run those. What in case, so just let's see, I mean, this is just a random graph, but as your code increases, your build time increases. This is relative, right? I mean, irrespective of the technology you use, the number of lines of code you add, you increase something. You increase your build time, test time, end-to-end tests. And this is what your developers do. They raise a PR, and then they raise a PR, that's it. And then they enjoy the rest of the day. They think that, okay, this build will be completed at some point of time, and then they do this. They fight. Just kidding, no one fights actually. Probably they will go for a coffee break. They'll say, okay, my build is running, so what should I do? Let's go for a coffee break and then come back later, because I know it's going to take 2 hours. And if you're at home working remotely, probably you do the same stuff I do. Take a nap. Just kidding. Just kidding. I don't sleep. If anyone is watching online, I don't sleep. Okay. And then let's agree to this. Developer time is money, right? You're getting paid to write code for your enterprise or your employer. Then you use CI. Why? To reduce time, but you end up actually waiting for another 45 minutes. So it adds a cost where you are actually losing your developer time. You're losing the money because you're paying for your build provider as well, right? I mean, if you're using GitHub Actions, GitLab, you are paying them as well. So you're paying more money. So if I add developer time plus CI time, your employers are paying more and more money, right? And this happens on every PR. And in a day, I'm not sure how many PRs you raise, but like in enterprises, you get like hundreds of PRs a day. Agreed? I mean, anyone who has like 100 PRs a day? Okay, we get like 200 PRs a day. So it's like, of course, we have close to 80 projects inside our monorepo. With 200, like 200 is like normal. We almost get 200 PRs a day because 25 different teams working on a single monorepo, it's huge. So of course, we have to reduce our cost somewhere. We don't want developers to like get stuck after they raise those PRs. So let's see, what if you have a build tool? So if you have a problem, of course, you will look for a solution. The problem here is build tool, but I'm introducing another build tool which can help you to avoid the drawbacks which we just saw. What if your build tool is fast, irrespective of technology? Whether you use front end, back end, doesn't matter. It is fast. It supports monorepo. That's not the goal, but it supports monorepo in case you want to use it. It's extensible. What do you mean by extensible? I can bring my own tool as well. So if you have any internal framework, internal tool, you can actually add that as part of this tool. It also gives you a proper way to structure your application. And it's smart. It's smart when it comes to know that what needs to be built. Because of course, if you have a monorepo or if you have a large enterprise application, you're not like touching everything. Probably if you have 25 apps, how many apps you will work on? Probably 1 or 2, right? So if it's what in case your build is smart enough to identify that, okay, you have just worked on 2 apps. When it comes to front end, of course, there are buzzwords, micro front end, module federation. Daniel had a great talk today in morning. And what in case it supports module federation for your front end developers or even micro front end? Not this, but it supports different build tools as well. So you can bring any build tool which exists and add it as part of your dev tool or your developer workflow. Let's see. Let's talk about the structuring your apps. Generally, this is how your app looks like. Not the circle, but I mean, you have a single monorepo with all the code inside only one project. Until unless you're a .NET developer or a Java developer who has habit of creating repository patterns, and then you have your code structured into namespaces or different projects. But in front end, let's agree, this is what it looks like. So everyone adds code into a single application. They keep adding the code. They don't have any idea why they are adding the code. I think they do, but yeah. I hope they do. What in case you can go from this to this, where you have small code as part of your app, and then you have rest of the code distributed across different features, and those are different projects, different libraries. What more, even you can split your features into smaller chunks, and developers like invest a lot of time to figure out how to do this. And when it comes to sharing your code, it becomes worst, right? What in case you have a shared library and a design system? What you will do, the worst case, which we are doing right now, is publish it on NPM, because yeah, we have an organization who is paying for the NPM libraries or NPM scope. So we can publish it on NPM and then use it. But it's not easy, right? I mean, it's easy to publish it. It's not easy to maintain it, because if you have 10 different teams and they have different requirements, just think about the workload a design system has, and then workload your CI has, because whenever they release something new, you have to build again. You have to build entire code again, right? So what in case, let's say you have this and you make your code change here on feature 1, and you just end up building this part. So you build feature 1, feature lib 1, and then probably shared lib design system, because they're dependent. What in case your build tool just figures out, okay, my code change was here, so I know this part needs to be built again. I don't need to touch this part. Just think about the time you're saving for your developers, right? Because as of today, this is the entire thing which needs to be built, which needs to be tested, where you have your linter to run. It takes time. And of course, same on the CI. So let's see. What in case you do this? Again, it knows that, okay, this blue part needs to be built again, but what in case your build tools can figure out that this green part is not touched and it is already built somewhere. It is already built somewhere, I have to just retrieve it from somewhere. What if your build tools can do this? So you have to just build this part. So the code which you have here on the blue circles only needs to be built, whether on CI, whether on your local machine. Just think about the time you're saving. We started from the entire monorepo or entire project. Just let's not talk even about monorepo. We are just talk about the project. So rather than actually building entire project, now you are just down to this 2 projects. This is what if your build tool can do this? Even more, what in case as I said, different build tools, right? What in case your build tool can support Vite, Webpack, ESBuild, TypeScript. This is RSPack. This is a new tool, cute logo. And then you have Node. What if your build tool can actually support all this tool out of the box? And then you can bring your own, just build your own. But most of you are not front-end developers. What in case I can bring my .NET application or Spring Boot application as well in my tool and then get all the advantage which we discussed about? So let's see. What about CI? Of course, as I said, everything works normal on the developer's machine, but the CI is problem, right? Because you have to do everything again. So on CI, it supports something known as distributed task execution and distributed caching. So what you can do is, let's talk about a task. So if I have to talk about task, a project can have multiple tasks: build, test, end-to-end, linting. These four are actually, I think, very common. So one project can have four tasks, and then multiply with the number of projects you have. So those are tasks. And sharing is caring, of course, but what in case your build tool can do this? So everything which is built, like, is shared across your organization. All the developers get the same build cache distributed across your CI pipeline, your developer machine. So yeah, so introducing NX Dev Tools. This is the tool which can do all this for you. Let's see a demo. So first, let's see how to initialize a new NX mono repo. There are multiple ways. So you can actually just go ahead and say npx create NX workspace, the first command which we have here, create NX workspace at latest, and then it gives you some options. This may work for you in case you have like Angular project, React project, or you have anything Nest.js, Express. So this can work for you. But if it doesn't work for you, probably you're looking for this another option called package based monorepo, which is not related to any technology. Let's see. So I've already created a demo. I have already a new workspace created by using NX. Let's see what we have here. So the first thing which we saw is about structuring your app. Let's see how it looks like. So this is how my app looks like. I can visualize it, that what depends on what. So here, if you see, there is an implicit dependency between E2E project and the main app. And then we have somewhere here is the feature. And then we have design system and UI state. What in case you can visualize it, and then you can understand what needs to be added where. So NX Dev Tool supports all this out of the box. So what you have to do is, let's say this is an Angular project right now, which I have. And if you have to create a new library, in most of the cases, what you work on is feature, not an app. Like, you have to come out of that mindset that I'm working on application, I'm working on a feature. So you have to create libraries based on features. So you have to really isolate the features, and this is where this tool can pay off in the long run. If you have a single app, all the code is inside it, you have to build everything again and again. But it doesn't mean that you should not move to NX in case you have just a single application. You can start today and then slowly migrate your code as you figure out, okay, what are the different features. You can do it incrementally. You don't have to just do everything in one go. Let's see how we can do that. So it has something called as generators. You can generate. For example, this is an Angular repository, so I'm getting an option. You can see it says create library. So I can split my code, entire code, front-end code, into separate libraries. But there is a catch. Here you see there is a flag called buildable. So whenever you're creating a library, just try to make it buildable by default. Buildable libraries can be cached. So once you have built it, you don't have to build it again. And the same, you can actually do the same on the CI pipeline as well. So if this build is done somewhere, even on CI pipeline or my developer's machine, and it has latest changes, it can just retrieve it from the cache. Let's see. So what I will do is, I already have an library here, right? So I call it as design system. And we already saw the dependency graph. Let's see it again. So my design system is being used by home, which is used by hello world. So this, if I make changes to design system, this part should be built and UI state should not. Let's see it in action. This is test accordion. Okay. So I'm not going to go into the front end. I mean, HTML part, of course, most of you are probably backend developers, don't want to bore you. But yeah, this is a simple accordion component which I have created. But let's see. So I just made a change here and I want to run build. The way NX works is there are different tasks, of course. and there are different commands. So you don't have to remember commands, because of course we don't want to just learn about another dev tool, right? We don't want to just learn again another CLI. So they have something called NX console. It is available for VS Code. They have NX console for JetBrains. So whatever IDE you are using, you can use this, and you can run these commands from here. So there is a command called affected. I remember I said, what in case your build tool is smart enough to identify what has changed. So this command, which is called affected, can figure out what has changed. So let's say I run affected build. Okay, let's see. Done. Of course, this is a very small application, right? I'm not just running an enterprise application, but I can give some stats from our enterprise applications. Here, if you see, this says UI state existing outputs match the cache. So I don't have to build UI state again. What is built is your design system, home, hello world. So in case you have a large enterprise application with like multiple features, with spread across like 100 of developers, just think about how much time you can save, because not 100 developers are working on a single feature. Like that's true for everyone, right? So this is affected, but let's see what more. I spoke about like you can bring your own tool, you can bring .NET application. How many .NET developers are here? Anyone? Okay. And Spring Boot? No one? Okay, great. Yeah. So NX has a wide ecosystem of plugins. So by using these plugins, I mean, I said this is something which is created by community, but you can bring your own. If you want to write it, you can write your own plugin. So let's say if I want to bring .NET. So there is a plugin called NX.NET, which you can use. You can just add this as a dependency, and then you can just start generating your .NET application as well. So probably it's not installed. Oh, because this console was already running. But yeah, you can choose any tool which is out there, and then you can install it as a dependency. Even you can use any new modern front-end framework which is launched, for example Quick, right? So there is already a plugin called Quick NX. Or if you want to bring Solid, just go ahead and add Quick Solid, NX, Solid NX. I think there is another plugin for the same, yeah, NX Next Solid. So you can bring any tool which you like and then add it in your monorepo. Now it became monorepo because you have multiple projects which is available with different technologies, different stacks, and you can still go ahead and use all the features we spoke about. Like you can get the caching, you can get the how you can structure your project out of the box, and you get everything. But this is not it. One of the problem which many enterprises has, how to upgrade the projects. They're stuck on the older version because they don't have the time, they don't have the budget, they don't have resources. Probably someone tried to update it, but it failed. Multiple reasons, right? But they are somehow stuck on an older version. What in case your dev tool supports to upgrade your project with a single command? Yes, NX does that for you as well. There is a command called NX migrate. You can choose what you want to upgrade, and it will automatically do the migration for your project, and you are on the latest version. So here, if I want to upgrade Angular, let's say if I want to upgrade Angular, I can say, okay, just upgrade Angular core for me. What version? Let's say 16, and it will just run the migration for me, and that's it. Most of the migration is done for you. So you don't have to worry about the migrations as well. One challenge which I have seen people facing is, let's say if you have a monorepo with NX, the one thing is, of course, all the projects have to share a common dependencies. So because there is a single package.json, I mean, when it comes to front end, of course, if you have a .NET code, of course, they will have their own dependency because it's different, right? I mean, the way .NET build works is different, or Spring Boot works is different. But when it comes to your front end application, they have to share the common dependencies. You can control it. You can control it by using module federation or micro front end. But it's good to be on the same version, because you know there is nothing which is going to break, right? So you can achieve that as well. What in case, let's say again, right? So what if your build tool allows you to add testing tools as well? So NX comes with Cypress by default. You don't have to configure. It also supports Storybook. In case you have a development team who is doing design systems, they know how Storybook, how important Storybook is. They can use that same without any configuration. They can use it here. If you want to write your unit test using Cypress component testing, yes, it has support by default. Your developers have to struggle less and less during configuring stuff. So if they want to use any new technology, any new tool which is available, just leave the setup on NX. Probably there will be some plugins already available. You can just use that plugin and save your time. Let's talk about CI, right? I mean, we spoke, I think we have 15 minutes, if I'm not wrong. Okay, I still have time. Okay. So I still, I think 25 minutes. Okay. So let's see. Oh, where is my slide? Yeah. So here, let me show you one more thing. The one more challenge which front-end developers face, or I think it's common for everyone. How many of you are aware of circular dependency? Circular dependency in projects, right? It's very common and we all face it. Build tools are smart now. I mean, it can figure out, okay, if there is a circular dependency, it can throw errors and it can say, hey, there is a circular dependency and you have to fix it. What in case you can stop that circular dependency before it happens? So NX also allows you to do that. So let's see how. I'll just show you a simple configuration for this project. So when you create a new Angular application or library, whatever you call it, it creates a project.json file. This is where it saves all the tasks. Remember task, which I said build, test, lint. So all the tasks are actually created here. So if you see, there is a build task, there is a serve task, there is extract, lint, test. So this file you will get. There's a property called tags, and this is very important property when it comes to restrict your developers from accessing something out of the scope. And what in case you can configure this as the team lead, so your developers never break the boundary. So let's say you're already aware that, sorry. So let's say if you are architect, right? And you figured out, okay, you defined your architecture and you said, hey, this app should never go ahead and directly access my design system. It should never happen, because of course this is not allowed and you should never do that. But let's say someone joins your team and says, yeah, I think I just need this accordion to be available in my app. And then of course it's imports, right? I mean, anyone can import anything. But let's see how we can restrict it. So here, let's go to project.json. I can say tag. The way common convention which we use is like type, then what type of project is this? Is it an app? Is it a lib? So I'll say app, and then name of your app. So I'll say hello world, and then you define tags for each of your libraries. This is something which you can define while creating a library as well, but let's say we define here. I'll just leave it blank. I'll just create one for design system, not design system, but home library. And I can say this is type, lib, and home. So this is tags which I have defined. And now as a design, as a lead, you said that this app, hello world, should only use this lib called home, and it should not use anything else. In case it tries to use it, throw an exception. Let's see. So NX has some of linting rules, which is available in this file, ESLint.rc, and there is something called dependency constants. In dependency constants, you can define what is your source tag and what is your dependencies. So here I can say, okay, my source is this, and my dependencies is the home. Right, so we defined this dependency. You can add more as you proceed. Of course, you cannot get your architecture perfect at one go, right? First, it's not like law which is written that okay, once you have written this you should not do this, but of course you can always go ahead and refactor and see where your application goes. So I'm saying, okay, this tag should depend on this tag, and let's try to use the library. I mean, so I'm just showing this for Angular, but you can do it for any technology. Just keep this in mind. I mean, even if you have a React application, you have any other monorepo, any other project, you can still do this for everyone. In case you have your entire Nest.js APIs here, you can still go ahead and do this. So I'll go to my app, and I'm a new developer who comes in and says, hey, I just want to use accordion here. And if you don't understand what's going on here, that's absolutely fine. I'm just doing an import. Of course, everyone knows the import because it's, I think, common across any technology. I mean, even in Angular, even in .NET or Java, you import something, right? You import a file or namespace. And then you say, okay, this is my conf demo, and I want to use design system here, and I ended up using the component, accordion component. Okay, so this is my import. I just did this, and let's now try to run my linter. So I say, okay, this is npx nx affected, because I just want to run the affected code. I don't want to run everything. And then I can say targets is what target I want to execute. You can do it from CLI, or you can just do it from the console, whatever you feel comfortable with. I just keep like shifting in between. It's npx. So it's saying, okay, this is what is affected, and this is an error. So let's see the error. So it says, okay, you are trying to use some library which should not be used, because the Hello World app can just depend on a library called home. So you are just stopping your developers here. They cannot move ahead. If they want to break this boundary, of course, they have to come and ask for approval. I mean, I hope you have an approval process in a place where you can see if project.json is touched or not. So don't like merge your PRs directly, because once this changes, there is one more impact. Your entire dependency graph is broken. So what will happen is, in case you thought that, okay, if my app is affected, only the home library will be built. Now it's different. What is happening is, now its design system is also being built. And one of the worst scenario in monorepo is, and when it comes to front end, or let's say any project, what in case you have multiple apps here? You can do that actually. So let's say this is an Angular project. I can go to my NX console, and same for React, or like if you're using a .NET application, you can do that. So I can say application, right? So I can create another application. I can say this is the best app in the world called to do, right? And now, of course, monorepos are good, but I think most of you will agree with this, that your IDE is not that smart. If you want to import anything, it will just allow you to import. It will not say that, okay, this is an app, you should not import from app. Same for .NET applications, right? If you have multiple application, .NET application, what matters up is namespaces. Once you have namespace, you can import A from B, B from A. Doesn't matter where the world goes on, but it will just allow you to do this. So this is where actually this can help you. And also your build graph. So always keep and watch on your build graph. So in case you are like moving to an X, and then you decided, okay, this is the path you want to take, where you want to actually have only code which is affected to be built. You will start building, start spreading your code into multiple apps, multiple libs, and then you have to keep a close watch on your NX graph, that no one is breaking that boundary. No one is actually using to-do app into hello world app, right? So those are the things which you can control using that tags. Let's see what else. Let me show you some of the CI stuff which you can achieve. Let's go back. So of course I just added some of the GitHub actions. Okay, again GitHub actions. Let's see how it looks like. So this is an example of distributed task execution. What do you mean by distributed task execution? So remember we talked about task. Task is build, lint, your test. What in case you can distribute that task into multiple agents, multiple machines. And if you were here for the GitHub Actions talk, you might have seen the metrics. So, or if you know about GitHub Actions, there is something called metrics where you can actually distribute your task onto multiple machines, right? You can just create a matrix which says build, test, lint, and the number of projects, and then it will just create the matrix for you, and it will execute each task into different machines. But let's agree to this as well. Most of the CI, most of the builds which we run on CI, do you think the utilization is 100%? You are paying for some machines, right? I mean, if it's not free. So if you are running GitHub Actions, are you utilizing 100% of your machine? How many? No. The answer is no. Of course, no one can do that because we are the one writing code, right? So, and now let's say you distributed using metrics, you are actually running 4 machines, but you are not able to utilize that 100% machines. This is where also NX can help you. NX has support for distributed task execution. So let me show you a build which happened without DT, which is distributed task execution, and with DT, with distributed task execution. So of course I had to run it before, right? So let's go to NX app. So this is NX Cloud app. You can actually connect to NX Cloud by using a single command, yarn NX connect. Once you do this, this is a paid tool, but I'm not here to promote this paid tool because it's free for open source. So if you have an open source project, you can just do it today without paying anything. If you are an enterprise, 500 hours of worth computation time is free for enterprises. So you can still go ahead and use it for 500 hours and then disable it, or it will be automatically disabled in case you put a limit. So let's see a task. So this is my task without distributed task execution. So you can see the first is lint, then second one was test, and third is what is build. So they're like running one after another. So do you think like we are able to utilize the 100% of resources? Probably not. Let me show you an example of distributed task execution in this place. So, and see the time as well. So let's see the time. So the total time taken was 56 seconds. Let's go back and see distributed task execution here. So let's see the time, 32 seconds. So we are already down from 56 to 32 seconds, but let's see the task. So here, if you see, these tasks are actually running after each other, right? So it's trying to utilize all the resources up to 100%, but of course it's not possible always. Oh, sorry. So we can see the breakdown as well. So here you can see that, okay, my agent number 2 was actually up to 93% utilization. One is 36, 0 was not used, so you don't have to pay for it. If you do the same using matrix, whether it's 0% or 1% doesn't matter, you have to pay the full cost to GitHub Actions or to GitHub. But here you don't have to because it was not utilized. You just have to pay for this and this. And then you can also distribute your load. So you now know, right? I mean, as you run your tasks, you know, okay, how much utilization is here and there. So probably we don't need 2 agents. We don't need 3 agents. I can just manage with 1. The only thing will be, okay, there is like small increase in build time, but I'll be able to actually save some cost here because it was only 36% utilization. you can like choose 10 agents to run. So let's see the CI pipeline. So here is where I am configuring the number of agents, and this is a custom action. Remember we spoke about custom actions if you were here for the GitHub Actions talk. So here they have already written a custom action for us. We just need to define how many agents want and what are the different commands or tasks which we need to run, and this is all done for you. But we also spoke about the distributed caching. Where is that part gone? I haven't seen this. We saw it on local, right? We saw that when we built the design system, it decided to skip UI. How about CI? So let's see some of the previous runs. So let's go back to all branches. Let's see this. Sorry. And I'll go to all runs. This is something which we again do, and I think most of you will agree with this. Everyone raises a PR, right? I mean, most of you might have a PR of which you open and then get merged, and then it is merged to master. So I think this is the same, right? Most of you. So what happens in that case? When you merge your code back to master, you run the same pipeline again with same build, same test, same lint, but you're running it again. Has something changed between your last run and what is in your master? You merge the same code. There's nothing which has changed. But as of today, we build everything again. Here, if you see, my code was merged to main, and of course there was some failure, but see the time. So my lint was done within a second because it was retrieved from the cache. Same, if I come to UI state, it's again 1 second. Why? Because it was already built on my previous branch, which I just merged on my main. So there is no difference, and it just builds what is required. So it will never build something which has already built again. Oh, sorry, which is already built previously. So you get like it is retrieved from your cache within seconds. So you get all this distributed caching as well out of the box. Not out of the box, but yeah, once you install Google NX Cloud on your machine. But there's one more catch. When you use third-party tools, you have to pay. Of course, you have to pay to use this cache, right? This is not free. So what you can do is, let's say if you have a big team, 100 developers, and then you don't want everyone to write the cache. You just want them to read the cache. So whatever is built on the CI should be available to them, but what they have built should not be available to the CI system, because you don't want everyone to push on the cache. It will just increase your cost. You can restrict that by using this access token. So you can create read or write token. Right now, this is a read and write token because I just configured it by default, but you can restrict it. You can restrict. So that's also possible. And I think this one last thing which I will show you is how to bring your own tool, right? So NX has something known as generators and executors. So you can create your own plugins. So I can say, okay, workspace generator, and okay. Why this command has no flags? Okay, so you can write. I'm not sure why this is not working, because it has something wrong. Generators. Oh, this is strange. So probably I moved on to the next version, but yeah. So you can actually bring your own executors and generators. You can create your own custom tasks, as well as how to create an application, right? If you have your own build tool, you can just integrate it with NX. So you have some examples. For example, if you search for solid, quick, they they are like third-party tool which is integrated into NX. So you can just refer the code and then see how they have done it. For example, .NET also, there's a plugin for .NET. In case you want to bring your own tool, just refer them and see how they have done it. So there are enough examples how you can actually configure your own tool as part of NX. And I think, yep, this is more of it. Let's go back to the slides. NX plugin. Okay. Okay, yeah. So NX plugin, sorry. So I was just looking for the another thing. So how to add NX to existing code? So in case you already have a you already have a project. So this is how you can do for Angular, just a single command, and your Angular project will be migrated to NX. But again, most of you are wondering why we are not Angular developer. Why we are seeing this? What in case we are not an Angular developer? Of course, that doesn't work for you, right? So how we can do that? Simple. So NX init, it will just initialize a new NX tool inside your workspace. Doesn't matter what kind of workspace you have, you can just go ahead and use task execution and everything out of the box by using this command. So you can just run yarn NX init and it will just create all the files which is required to NX to run. And what in case you have React? I saw some hands for React, right? I mean, there are some people for React, yeah. So what in case you want to convert your create React tab to NX? Just run this command. Just run this command, but we have more. How many of you, I mean, mostly probably, I think if you're doing React, you know Vite, right? And you also know that CRA is dead, right? There was a huge drama on the Twitter that CRA is dead. I'm not sure if that was a person, but they said it's dead. Okay. What in case your build tool or your NX can just migrate your CRA to NX? Sorry, CRA to NX plus it can migrate to the Vite without you writing a single line of code. Yes, NX can do that for you. So if you do have a CRA workspace today, just do yarn CRA to NX and it will configure the Vite out of the box for you. You don't have to do anything. It will migrate up to 90% of the configuration. That's from the data which NX team could figure out from the community. But yeah, 90% still good, right? I mean, you have to just do 10% of the configuration. How to use NX Cloud? Yarn NX Connect. If you have open source projects, just go ahead and give it a try. It's free for open source. And if you are like you have your own company and you decide for yourself, just go ahead and use 500 hours of computation time for free. And there is some stats. So if you see, my average build time, execution time is 25 seconds with total of 30 runs. If you see my one build time, which was close to 1 minute, but if I'm running it over and over again, see the time, it's like down to 1/4. So I'm just like reducing my 75% of the time from my CI. Again, but you have to keep this in mind once you migrate to NX. So you have to go with the mentality that build only affected code. And how is that possible is by using this approach. Code which is built together stays together. If you follow this approach, you will get a lot of things out of the box, or the NX tool will pay for you in the future. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about the cost which you are paying right now. And this is again the computation time saved. Of course, I have to show you some report. So you can see 7 minutes of computation time saved over 38 runs. So with a small project, I mean, it doesn't contain any code, but I'm still able to save 7 minutes of time. If you have a huge project, just see the impact. And to give you some stats from my own enterprise application which we have, so we have close to 100k lines of code, and we are able to build everything within the maximum time is taken by the test, which is 35 minutes for 100k lines of code. And for build, it takes around 25 seconds. Sorry, not 25 seconds, 25 minutes. But for each app, sometime it's 25 seconds because it gets retrieved from the cache. Last time I built entire 70 applications on my local machine with 100k lines of code. Just think about the time. 2 minutes on my local, because most of the things were cached. So I don't have to build again all the 70 apps. I can just get like caching for free on my local machine. And then you can do the same using Nxcloud on your CI. If you don't want to use Nxcloud, if you're like if your company doesn't allow to do that, there are few approaches which we have taken. I can share that with you, uh, but that's again not very cheap. You can actually also use GitHub Cache. How many of you are aware GitHub Cache, right? So you can also push your builds on GitHub Cache and then retrieve it. You can just configure it on your own. NX doesn't restrict you. It just makes your life easier. That's why I'm promoting this tool, because I don't have to pay anything if I don't want to, right? If you have GitHub Actions already, you have been paying for it, you can just like configure your own strategy where you push your cache on this on the remote and then just download it. The strategy which we use is we push it on GitHub repository. Of course, creating a repository is free, right? It doesn't cost you anything. So we just push it there and just retrieve it from there, and then all the developers get caching out of the box. So that's the strategy which we are using right now, because like all the enterprise organization in the world, getting approval is hard when it comes to money, right? So cool. There is an Angular course from me on free code camp. It's like 17 hours of content for free. So in case anyone wants to learn Angular, just feel free to actually visit the channel. There is an NX handbook which is free. In case you want to read more about NX in more detail, the distributed task execution or the caching, everything, my friend has written it for free. It's available, and in case you want to pay for it, I think you can do that as well. But this is he has been actually just like writing more chapters, so there are multiple books in this series which is available. And thank you so much.
Thank you for a great talk.
Yeah, in case you have any questions, you can ask. I think we still have time, or yeah, I think there will be a break after this, and then keynote, and then we'll be back at our homes. How many of you are traveling from outside Lithuania? Oh, nice. And also I have stickers in case anyone is interested. Yeah, cool. Great. So I don't think so we have any questions. If you have any, you can ask. Still have time. Yeah. So we tried it. I mean, if you're talking about the storage which we can use, I mean, we have tried with AWS, right? We tried to push our cache on AWS, and now we are using GitHub repository because it's fast, rather than actually connecting to AWS, because there is we experienced some latency, and GitHub was faster than that. Yeah. And with Nxcloud, the way it works is you can define where you want to save your cache. So it's like you have to connect your machine. There are two approaches. You can actually just use their cloud, which is for free. I mean, for 500 hours, and then yeah, for enterprise it's not free. So you can like connect your own machine. You can like say, okay, this is my AWS storage, and then you can connect it, and NX will start using that as a cache. They actually prefer this one for enterprises, because of course enterprises are always scared to share their cache, right? Because they have probably some amazing code there.
Yeah, but it's also for on-prem. Our Git is on-prem.
Yeah, exactly.
If I want to keep cache somewhere,
yeah, probably you will prefer your own machine, and then you can actually have multiple containers, which also helps.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What's your opinion on using NX together with like CMake for a heavy C++ application?
Oh, that's a very interesting use case. I mean, in case you can split them into multiple applications, multiple smaller buildable parts, you can still go ahead and use it, because as I said, NX is irrespective of what build tool or what technology you have. So if you want to give it a try, just try with NX in it and just see how it works for you. You have to you have to define all the tasks manually, because of course it's C++ application, so probably your build steps might be different, right? And then once you figure that out, so everything is same.
But as long as you adhere to that, like the principle of building features.
Exactly. This is where it pays off. So you can start from day one. I mean, just move on to NX and then start splitting your code. No one can get 100% like single day. Last application which I migrated to NX took 10 months. I mean, where we can like have like separate libraries, and but like enterprises are ready to pay that cost because they are of course going to save some time. And you saw that like for a smaller application I could save 7 minutes, right? And just think about the developers on their local machine. If like 80 apps takes 2 minutes for me to build on my local machine, I'm already saving my 45 minutes. Yeah, yeah. And cool. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming, and I think hope you enjoyed this conference. And probably I'll be back again next year.